The Galactic Council had expected pride, jubilation, maybe even groveling from Earth. After all, this was the species that had leapt from fire to starships in less than 2 centuries, broken the barrier of faster-than-light travel on their own, and suddenly appeared on the galactic stage. An ancient cosmic body with 312 member civilizations, the Council had never seen such raw ambition, or such unprecedented independence. The official invitation to join the Council's ranks was broadcast across every inhabited system, encoded in every known language, wrapped in the grandeur of millennia-old protocol. It was a gesture of peace, a welcome to the greater community. The Council sent the message not just to Earth's leaders, but to its people, through their networks and satellites, expecting the world to rejoice. Earth was silent. Days stretched into weeks. No response. The Council's anxieties grew with every passing cycle. Finally, a transmission arrived. Terse, cold, and unmistakably human. "We will not be part of your game. No signatures, no diplomatic niceties." Just those 7 words, echoing through the holographic chambers of the Council's capital on Arxilium Prime. Shock rippled across the assembled delegates. The Zentari historian at the edge of the chamber gasped softly, clutching his datapad. No species has ever outright refused. Even the stubborn Draxians submitted after their rebellion. A sharp voice cut through the murmurs. "Then Earth is unlike any species we've ever encountered," said Council President Markal, a towering figure whose bioluminescent skin flickered with indignation. "This is an insult we cannot ignore." In the grand halls, the tension was palpable. Species known for stoicism exchanged uneasy glances. The humans, a species the Council had assumed would eagerly join the Galactic Order, were instead throwing down a gauntlet. Across light years, the Terran Republic's command centers buzzed with activity. Earth's leaders had seen the invitation arrive, along with the weighty expectations it carried. But their response wasn't crafted in arrogance, it was forged in experience. The centuries of Earth's history, of empires rising and falling, of exploitation and rebellion, had taught them a harsh lesson. Sovereignty was not a gift to be accepted lightly. Ambassador Lila Reyes paced the secure chamber on Mars. The room hummed with holographic data streams, Council transmissions, analysis reports, and a constant feed of intelligence. Her eyes were sharp, her stance resolute. "They think this is a refusal out of arrogance," she said quietly to her aide. "But it's not. We refuse because joining them means surrendering control. It means becoming a cog in a machine that values order over freedom." Her aide nodded, eyes wide with respect. "The Council doesn't understand us. They see defiance as hostility." "Let them," Reyes said, voice low but unyielding. "They have never faced a species that refuses to kneel. We will make them understand Dian on our terms." Back in the Galactic Council chambers, debates erupted. The Council's military leaders clamored for retaliation. Diplomats pleaded for patience. The debate was not just about Earth. It was about the future of the galaxy. How can we maintain order if one of the fastest-growing civilizations outright rejects our authority? A silver-scaled Fendari general demanded. "If this spreads, the entire Council risks collapse." A softer voice came from the scholar's side. "Perhaps Earth represents a new phase of evolution, one where species demand autonomy without subservience. Maybe we should learn from them, not crush them." Markal's eyes narrowed. "Their silence is dangerous. We will send envoys, personally. Mars will be our first step." The news traveled fast through human networks. To many on Earth and its colonies, the Galactic Council was a relic, a bureaucracy built on fear and control. Humanity's rapid rise had been powered by innovation and stubborn independence, not by waiting for approval. Street murals across New London, the capital of the Terran Republic, depicted humans breaking chains, stepping into the stars with weapons in one hand and an olive branch in the other. Children learned stories of past empires, warned never to repeat their mistakes. In an underground broadcast, a young resistance leader's voice cut through encrypted channels. "The galaxy offers no free lunch. We don't join because we must. We join because we choose." Meanwhile, Earth scientists quietly continued their work. developing technologies that unsettled the Council even more. The ability to bend gravity, to manipulate space-time, was no longer theory. Humanity had harnessed forces that made starships dance like children's toys. The Council envoys arriving in orbit around Mars were met with cold efficiency. Their ships were carefully quarantined and their communications monitored. No handshake was offered. No smiles. Only Ambassador Reyes's firm, unwavering gaze through the ship's holocom window. "Welcome to Mars," she said. "We're ready to talk, but on our terms. The galaxy will learn quickly that humans are not a species to be managed. We are the masters of our fate." The silence of Earth had shattered. The silent rebellion had begun. The Council's sleek envoy ships glided through the crimson haze of Mars's thin atmosphere, escorted by a formation of human naval fighters whose angular shapes bore the insignia of the Terran Republic's Erebus fleet. The Council envoys, an uneasy group of diplomats and military advisors from several member species, felt a cold edge in the silence that met them. No fanfare, no ceremonial greeting, just the weight of silent defiance. Inside the largest ship, Ambassador Lila, Reyes stood facing the holoscreen projecting the Council delegates. Her expression was calm, but her eyes burned with resolve. "We're ready to meet," she said plainly. "But only on Martian soil. No Council ships land on Earth or its colonies without express permission." The Council's supreme diplomat, a slender humanoid named Varshan from the crystalline world Vortak, frowned. "Ambassador Reyes, we expected at least a formal welcome aboard your flagship." Reyes's lips curled into a faint smile, tinged with irony. "You expected submission. You will get neither." The Martian atmosphere was cold and thin, but the Council delegation's transport was fully equipped for survival. As they descended to a secure Martian base, a sprawling complex nestled in the shadow of Olympus Mons, Reyes watched from a nearby observation post, her posture unyielding. The Council envoys were led into a stark chamber, its walls lined with human military personnel, all eyes sharp and weapons trained discreetly on their guests. The air hummed with tension. Ambassador Reyes stepped forward. "You must understand," she began, her voice steady. "The Galactic Council operates like a galactic HOA, a house of control, hierarchy, and old alliances that maintain the status quo. We refuse to be part of that order because the order itself is broken." She paused, allowing her words to sink in. "We did not spend centuries carving our way out of poverty, war, and tyranny, just to bow to a federation that exploits weaker species and protects its own interests under the guise of galactic peace. If you want to speak with us, you must first acknowledge that we are equals, not subjects." Varshan bristled. Such accusations threatened the fragile peace of the galaxy. Reyes's eyes sharpened. "Fragile peace? Is that what you call the chains you place on entire worlds? Is that peace to you?" A murmur rippled through the Council delegation. Suddenly, the lights flickered. The transport systems registered an anomaly, an unexpected localized gravity field distortion, an invisible hand bending space itself. Alarmed engineers scrambled to find the source. It was a human technology, a gravity manipulation array quietly activated to enforce the perimeter. Varshan's voice wavered with disbelief. This technology was thought to be decades away. Reyes's smile was almost cold. Humanity does not wait for permission to advance. The envoys quickly realized Mars was not only a fortress but a technological marvel, far beyond anything the Council had imagined Earth could wield. The meeting devolved into a heated exchange. Reyes challenged every assumption, every council precept. Her words cut through centuries of complacency. "We do not join you. We will not negotiate under your rules. Instead, we offer a new path, one where sovereignty is respected, and where no species is forced to obey a centralized order." The Council delegation, unused to such defiance, bristled. Some whispered about military retaliation. Others feared the implications that this was not a negotiation but a declaration of war. Yet, Reyes ended the meeting without anger. We don't seek conflict. We seek respect. But if you misunderstand our intentions, if you try to impose your will, humanity will respond with overwhelming force. The envoys departed Mars with more questions than answers. The Council's archives scrambled to analyze the new intelligence. Earth was no longer just a backwater blue planet. It was a rising titan with power and principles unlike any they'd seen. In the vast council chambers, President Markal slammed his fist on the table. They mock us. They challenge us. But we cannot allow this defiance to go unanswered. We must act decisively. But even among his closest advisors, uncertainty flickered. Could the galaxy withstand a war with humanity? Could they contain a species unwilling to bend or break? Meanwhile, on Earth and Mars, Ambassador Reyes returned to her people, greeted by cheers and silent nods of respect. Her message was clear. Humanity had no intention of joining the old galactic order, but it was ready to reshape the future. The silent rebellion had moved from words to action, and across the stars the galaxy waited, holding its breath for the next move. The news of Earth's outright rejection of the Galactic Council's invitation spread like wildfire. Across thousands of light years, star systems buzzed with speculation, fear, and uncertainty. The Council's grand chambers on Arxilium Prime became a tempest of accusations and conspiracy theories. Some whispered that the Terran Republic harbored a secret weapon, something so powerful it rendered diplomacy obsolete. Others insisted that humanity's refusal was a sign of arrogance or madness. Council President Markal stood before the assembled delegates, his iridescent skin shifting through hues of deep blue and stern violet. We face a crisis unlike any in our history. A species newly risen defies the galaxy's oldest institution and threatens the delicate balance we have fought centuries to maintain. From the audience, a young diplomat from the aquatic Grelvi species raised a cautious hand. President, might this be an opportunity? Perhaps the humans seek not destruction but a new way to govern interstellar relations. We must understand before we strike. The council chamber erupted into heated debate. The Fendari general, a towering warrior clad in gleaming armor that reflected council banners, growled. Understanding without action is weakness. Their defiance encourages dissent among our client species. We must send fleets to contain them. A scholar from the crystalline Vortak, Varshan, shook his multifaceted head. Containment risks war with a species capable of manipulating gravity itself. We do not yet understand the scope of their power. Outside the chambers, the galaxy's networks buzzed with unrest. Subjugated species, long oppressed by the Council's rigid hierarchy, whispered in secret, their voices amplified by leaked transmissions of human broadcasts. The Terran Republic's propaganda, rich with calls for freedom, autonomy, and self-determination, spread through digital undergrounds like wildfire. In a shadow station orbiting a dead star, a secret meeting convened. Representatives from several lesser-known species, the rebellious Cathari miners, the freedom-fighting Naloxians, and even a few disillusioned council scientists, gathered in a dimly lit chamber. We have underestimated Earth, hissed Isha, leader of the Cathari rebels. Their defiance inspires us. If the galaxy can be free, maybe it should be free. A Naloxian engineer nodded. Their technology, the gravity manipulation, their AI systems, it surpasses anything the Council anticipated. They have been preparing for this moment for decades, quietly building a power no one foresaw. Across the network, human intelligence operatives known as the Watchers monitored Council communications. These silent guardians of Earth's sovereignty detected every whisper of conspiracy and every fleet movement. Their reach was unprecedented, their methods subtle but deadly. Meanwhile, within the Council, factions hardened. Some sought immediate military action, convinced that diplomacy had failed. Others urged restraint, fearing a war they might not win. An underground broadcast from an anonymous human voice reached even the Council's secure channels. The speaker's voice was calm, but resolute. We do not seek war, but we will defend our right to exist, to govern ourselves against any who would deny it. We are not a threat to the galaxy, only to those who uphold injustice. The broadcast stirred both admiration and fear. Council President Markal convened a special security council. We must act before the situation spirals beyond control. Send intelligence teams. Observe but avoid provocation. But as scouts ventured closer to human borders, they reported new developments. The Erebus fleet, humanity's autonomous Black Ops flotilla, had been deployed in secret, patrolling contested zones with ruthless efficiency. Ships armed with AI warrior synth mines eliminated threats in minutes, leaving no survivors. One intelligence officer whispered to his superior. They do not fight like any species we know. Their strategy is surgical, precise, almost preemptive. As the council deliberated, the galaxy fractured. Client species saw in humanity a beacon of hope, a chance to break free from council control. Revolts erupted in distant mining, colonies, and fringe systems. The council's grip weakened, but some feared the consequences. If humanity rises too fast, warned a veteran strategist from the Zenari, it will not just topple the council. It will shatter the fragile order and plunge us all into chaos. In the midst of galactic uncertainty, Ambassador Reyes prepared her next move. The silent rebellion was no longer silent. Humanity's message echoed across the stars. A message of defiance, freedom, and the promise of a new order. But would the galaxy listen, or would it respond with fire? The galaxy had never seen a war like this. No declarations, no open battles, just shadows moving through space and silence broken by the sudden, brutal flash of destruction. The Galactic Council's forces found themselves outmaneuvered and outgunned in ways they couldn't explain. Ships patrolling the borders near human-controlled space began disappearing without warning, victims of strikes so precise and silent that the Council suspected sabotage. The Erebus fleet, Earth's Black Ops flotilla, operated like a ghost. It struck swiftly and vanished, leaving behind only wreckage and questions. No survivors, no communiques. Only the cold certainty that the Terran Republic was prepared to defend its sovereignty with ruthless efficiency. Inside a dimly lit chamber, on the flagship Arxilium Dawn, Council commanders gathered around a holographic star map. A red cluster pulsed steadily on the edge of known space, the site of the latest attack. General Hraktal slammed his fist on the table. How are they doing this? Our fleets are veteran, well-equipped, yet they disappear in minutes. We are blind. A Council intelligence officer, voice grim, replied, Our informants report the Erebus fleet uses autonomous AI synth mines, synthetic warriors capable of independent thought and tactical decision-making. They adapt to threats faster than any organic commander. Varshan, the crystalline diplomat, leaned forward. They wield not only superior technology, but superior strategy. This is not just war. It is a demonstration, a warning. The Council's leaders faced a brutal reality. They had underestimated humanity's capacity to prepare for conflict. The Terran Republic had anticipated this moment for decades, developing AI systems and weaponry far beyond what any Council species imagined possible. The conflict wasn't confined to the edges of human space. Council spies infiltrated Earth's colonies, attempting to disrupt supply lines and sabotage infrastructure, but human counterintelligence, known as the Watchers, intercepted every move with chilling precision. One captured Council hacker, a nervous young operative from the insectoid Kaharn species, was interrogated aboard a Terran station. When DE pressed, he confessed, We thought Earth was just a fledgling power, but their networks are everywhere. They watch us. They know us. His captors offered no response, only a silent, calculating gaze. The Galactic Council scrambled to devise countermeasures. Fleets were retrofitted with electronic warfare suites. Diplomatic envoys sought to open back channels, and secret negotiations began in shadowed corners of the galaxy. But humanity remained silent. They did not broadcast threats. They did not issue ultimatums. Instead, they let their actions speak. The Erebus fleet obliterated a Council blockade around the mining colony of Draxor in under 40 minutes. Entire squadrons vanished, swallowed by tactical precision and ruthless force. The colony's inhabitants, mostly human miners, cheered from secure communications channels. On Earth, Ambassador Reyes addressed a secure council of Terran leaders. "We do not seek war," she said firmly, "but we will not hesitate to defend our right to exist, to govern ourselves, and to protect those who stand with us. The council must understand. Humanity's patience has limits." Her words echoed through the corridors of power, stirring both pride and apprehension. Beyond military clashes, the conflict sparked a cultural upheaval across the galaxy. Subjugated and oppressed species found hope in humanity's example. In the darkest corners of council space, human philosophy, words of liberty, resistance, and self-determination spread through encrypted networks like wildfire. The Cathari, miners sent coded messages to their rebel cells quoting Terran resistance manifestos. The Naloxian freedom fighters adopted human tactics in their guerrilla wars. Across countless worlds, the Council's authority was undermined not just by weapons, but by ideas. Inside the Council, fractures deepened. Some delegates called for an immediate all-out assault on Earth and its colonies. Others warned that such an attack would unleash a war the galaxy could not afford. Amid this turmoil, a silent observer watched from the shadows, a council assassin dispatched to infiltrate Earth itself. Known only as Shade, this operative arrived on Luna under deep cover, tasked with gathering intelligence and, if necessary, eliminating key human leaders. But as Shade lived among humans, witnessing their resilience, ingenuity, and unyielding spirit, the assassin's certainty wavered. Exposure to human culture ignited doubts. Was this species truly the threat the Council believed them to be? Or was there something more profound unfolding? The silent rebellion was no longer silent. It had become a hidden war fought in darkness and light, in minds and starships alike, and humanity was ready for whatever came next. The ripples of humanity's defiance spread far beyond Earth's solar system, planting seeds of hope and revolution in the darkest corners of the galaxy. Where once the Galactic Council's rule had seemed unassailable, cracks now spiderwebbed across star systems, cracks fueled by whispers of freedom and the audacity of a species that refused to bow. In the dusty tunnels beneath the asteroid mining colony of Tinok, Cathari rebels gathered in secret. Their leader, Isha, held a flickering hollow transmission from Earth's resistance networks. The words resonated deeply. "The Terran Republic has shown us that a new way is possible," Isha told her comrades, voice low but fierce. "The Council's chains are not eternal. We can break them." Around her, faces, scaly, armored, delicate, nodded with grim determination. For decades, the Cathari had lived under the Council's iron grip, forced to work endless shifts in dangerous mines, their labor fueling the wealth of distant elites. Now emboldened by Earth's example, rebellion ignited in their hearts. Elsewhere, on the watery world of Nilos Prime, freedom fighters decoded human broadcasts filled with strategies, philosophies, and calls to action. These messages slipped through the Council's surveillance, reaching oppressed populations hungry for change. "Humanity does not seek chaos," said Naloxian Commander Saren to his battered squadron. "They fight for order, but an order built on justice and sovereignty. That is a vision we can stand behind." Across the galaxy, the Council scrambled to contain the spreading unrest. Systems loyal to the old order launched crackdowns on suspected insurgents. But every harsh response only deepened resentment, turning distant worlds into fertile ground for rebellion. Within the Council's grand chambers, debates turned more desperate. The once unified voice fractured into discordant factions. "You underestimate the power of ideas," Varshan warned. "This is not just a military challenge. Humanity has ignited a revolution of thought, one that threatens our very foundation." General Hraktal scoffed. "Philosophy cannot topple fleets. We must crush the rebellions before they spread further." But the warning was clear. Earth's influence was not confined to its star system. The galaxy was awakening. Back on Earth, Ambassador Lila Reyes watched the news feeds from the front lines of rebellion. The uprisings were chaotic, dangerous, and far from perfect, but they carried the unmistakable spark of change. Freedom is not chaos, Reyes told her council in a tense meeting. It is order on our terms, respect, dignity, and the right to shape one's own destiny. The galaxy must see that humanity's fight is their fight too. In the shadows of the Terran Republic's intelligence networks, the Watchers monitored rebel communications, offering covert support without revealing Earth's full hand. They knew that open intervention would provoke a devastating war, but silent encouragement could tip the balance. On the remote moon of Jakara, a former council enforcer named Kira led a small cell of defectors who had witnessed Earth's rise firsthand. We were instruments of oppression, she confessed. Now we choose to be architects of freedom. Kira's group smuggled advanced Terran technology and knowledge to rebel factions, leveling the playing field against council forces. But not everyone welcomed the tide of change. In a secret meeting on Arxilium Prime, a coalition of council traditionalists and powerful elites convened. They feared that humanity's rise would not bring peace but chaos. If the council falls, there will be no order, only war and anarchy, warned Lord Varkesh, a senator known for his ruthless pragmatism. We must preserve the old ways, whatever the cost. The schism deepened. Amidst the turmoil, Ambassador Reyes received a coded message from Shade, the council assassin who had infiltrated Earth and now questioned their own allegiance. I see your strength, your spirit. There is more to this war than I was told, the message read. Reyes replied cautiously, the galaxy is waking. We fight not just for ourselves, but for all who yearn to be free. Join us or stand aside. As rebellion ignited, across star systems, humanity's silent rebellion was no longer isolated. It had become a movement, a beacon for those crushed beneath the council's boot. The seeds of change were sown, and soon the galaxy would either bloom with freedom or burn in the fires of war. The Galactic Council's leaders had never faced a threat like humanity. The silent rebellion had shifted from whispered defiance to a galaxy-wide movement. Yet the Council still clung to power with every means at its disposal, both overt and hidden. Behind the grand chambers of Arxilium Prime, where debates echoed with urgency and fear, a darker council operated in secret. The Shadow Directorate was composed of the galaxy's most ruthless operatives, spies, assassins, and manipulators entrusted with maintaining the Council's dominion at any cost. Their leader, a spectral figure known only as the Veil, watched the rising human threat with cold calculation. To the Shadow Directorate, humanity was not just defiant, it was a contagion that could unravel the Council's centuries-old control. The humans inspire rebellion, the Veil murmured during a covert gathering. If left unchecked, they will ignite a conflagration that consumes us all. We must strike decisively, silently. The Council's public face called for diplomacy, for restraint. But behind the scenes, the Veil unleashed a campaign of sabotage, misinformation, and targeted assassinations aimed at breaking the rebellion's backbone before it fully formed. On a remote human outpost in the Perseus Arm, a key rebel leader's communication array exploded without warning, killing dozens and cutting off a vital link to Earth. Investigators quickly traced the attack to advanced Council stealth drones, invisible and lethal. Back on Earth, Ambassador Reyes grimly received the news. They believe fear will silence us, she said, voice steady, but it only strengthens our resolve. The Watchers intensified their efforts, tracking the Council's shadow operatives, intercepting assassination attempts, and countering misinformation campaigns designed to turn rebel factions against one another. Yet the Veil's reach was long. On Jakara, Kira's rebel cell suffered a devastating blow when a trusted informant was revealed as a double agent. The resulting ambush scattered their forces, forcing Kira to question who she could trust. In the heart of the Galactic Council, divisions deepened. Some leaders condemned the Veil's tactics, fearing they would push the galaxy into all-out war. Others welcomed the ruthless efficiency, believing that only absolute control could restore order. Varshan, the crystalline diplomat, confronted the council's president during a tense session. "We cannot survive if we become monsters in the shadows," Varshan warned. "The people we seek to govern will see us as tyrants and rebellion will only grow." President Markal's eyes narrowed. "We must do what is necessary to preserve the galaxy's future." Meanwhile, Shade, the council assassin turned reluctant sympathizer, operated deep within Earth's orbit. After months embedded among humans, Shade sent a secret transmission back to the Veil. But it was a warning, not a report. Humanity is not what you expect. They fight with honor and unity. If you push them too far, the galaxy will face a storm unlike any before. The Veil's response was swift and cold. "Then we must prepare for that storm. If they refuse to join us, we will break them." On Mars, Ambassador Reyes convened a special council of Terran commanders and diplomats. "Our enemies hide in shadows, seeking to divide and conquer," she said. "We must be vigilant, but we must not lose ourselves. Our strength is in our unity, our honor, and our vision for a free galaxy." The Terran Republic ramped up security, deploying new AI-driven defense systems and reinforcing their intelligence networks. The Watchers hunted down infiltrators and spread counterintelligence to confuse the Veil's operatives. In the sprawling metropolis of New Chicago, Shade met secretly with Reyes. "I have seen their shadows," Shade said quietly. "But I have also seen humanity's light. I pledge my skills to your cause." Reyes nodded. "Together we will face whatever comes." Beyond the visible conflict, the silent rebellion was evolving. It was no longer a simple refusal to join the council. It was a fight for a new order, one built on respect, freedom, and the right to shape one's own destiny. The council's shadow war raged on, but humanity's light burned brighter, a beacon for all who dreamed of a galaxy unshackled. The Veil's last words echoed through the darkness. "They will learn the true cost of defiance." But the galaxy was already awakening. And when it did, nothing would ever be the same. The galaxy trembled on the brink of chaos. The silent rebellion had ignited a firestorm that no power, no matter how ancient or vast, could easily contain. The Galactic Council's grip weakened by the day, its leaders fractured between hawks, clamoring for war and diplomats desperate for peace. Yet the fires of rebellion only spread wider, fed by humanity's unwavering example. On the war-torn world of Ilthar Prime, Cathari rebels launched a daring assault on a heavily fortified council installation. Their weapons, enhanced by Terran tech smuggled through secret channels, pounded against ancient defenses with surprising effectiveness. Yet the council's response was swift and brutal. Siege fleets bearing gleaming banners darkened the skies, unleashing devastating bombardments that razed entire cities. Still, the rebels fought on, inspired by broadcasts from Earth's leaders and the promise that freedom was within reach. In the council's grand chambers, President Markal's voice thundered above the clamor. "This insurrection threatens not only the council but the very fabric of galactic civilization. If we do not act decisively, all will fall into ruin." Varshan rose, calm but resolute. "The council's own policies have sown these seeds of rebellion. If we continue to deny autonomy and suppress voices, war is inevitable." But the Hawks held sway. Fleets were authorized to move on Earth's colonies. A blockade was imposed around the Sol system, meant to choke supplies and isolate humanity. In orbit above Earth, the blockade was formidable, a massive armada of Council dreadnoughts, frigates, and cruisers forming a lethal web. Their intent was clear: starve the Terran Republic into submission. Yet Earth's response was swift and unyielding. The Erebus fleet launched lightning raids against Council supply convoys, disabling or destroying them with ruthless precision. Human starships maneuvered through the blockade like predators in the dark, striking where the enemy was weakest. In a high command chamber on Mars, Ambassador Reyes studied the tactical maps, her face illuminated by flickering holoscreens. "They believe a blockade will break us, but we are not a cornered animal. We are the storm that follows." Behind her, Shade monitored transmissions from the Council's fleets, picking up chatter about mutinies and defections. Even within the Council's own ranks, doubt festered. Meanwhile, across contested star systems, the rebellion's momentum grew. Human-inspired factions seized Council outposts, rallied oppressed populations, and forged fragile alliances. The galaxy's undercurrents surged with revolution. On a remote moon, Kira and her defectors coordinated with Terran commanders, integrating stolen Council technology into rebel arsenals. "We have the means," she said, "and the will. Now, we must strike at the heart." A covert assault was planned, a strike deep into Council space to disrupt their war machinery and send a message. Humanity was not just defending itself, it was reshaping the galaxy. As the fleet prepared, Shade confronted Reyes. "The Council will escalate, they fear you, but their desperation is dangerous. They will unleash horrors if cornered." Reyes nodded. "Then we must be ready to face them, not just with weapons, but with the strength of our convictions." The first attack struck the Council's weapons manufacturing hub on Vortak Prime. Human commandos, aided by rebel saboteurs, infiltrated heavily guarded facilities, destroying vital infrastructure and crippling the Council's ability to produce advanced armaments. The assault sent shockwaves through the Council. Panic rippled among their leadership as news of the strike spread. President Markell convened an emergency summit. "They dare to strike our core worlds. We must crush this rebellion now, or face the collapse of everything we built." But Varshan, battered but unbroken, warned, "Destroying their technology will not end the rebellion. It is the spirit of freedom that drives them, and that cannot be extinguished by force." As the Council debated, rebel fleets gathered in secret staging grounds. The galaxy's future hung in balance, poised on a knife edge. In the shadowed corridors of power, the Veil whispered to hidden allies, "The rising storm must be drowned in blood. Only total submission will restore order." But Ambassador Reyes's final message echoed through comm channels across the stars. "We will not bow. We will not break. The galaxy will remember this moment, when humanity stood firm against the darkness and the light of freedom burned brighter than ever." The rising storm was no longer a threat. It was a reckoning, and the silent rebellion's roar would be heard across the cosmos. The final battle had come. The Sol System's blockade shattered beneath a storm of human firepower. The Erebus fleet, sleek and deadly, darted through the Council armada like lightning striking a mountain peak. Human starships swarmed with calculated precision, exploiting weaknesses that only centuries of war-hardened instinct and cutting-edge AI could reveal. Above Earth's blue-green orb, the Council's flagship Arxilium Dawn burned, crippled by a coordinated assault led by Commander Aisha and Kira's defectors. The massive vessel's once imposing silhouette was now a smoldering ruin, a symbol of a crumbling regime. On the ground, cities across Earth and its colonies erupted in jubilant celebration. The silent rebellion was no longer silent. It had become a clarion call for freedom. In the heart of Arxilium Prime, the Council's fracturing leadership gathered for one last, desperate conference. President Markall's voice was heavy with defeat. "We have lost the battle for control. The galaxy turns away from us." Varshan, ever the voice of reason, nodded. "It is time to rebuild, not as conquerors, but as partners in a new order." But the Veil, the elusive head of the Shadow Directorate, remained unseen and unbowed. In secret chambers, the Veil prepared a final gambit, a weapon so devastating it could obliterate entire star systems, a last desperate bid to crush humanity and the rebellion. Back on Earth, Ambassador Reyes received intelligence of the looming threat. "If the Veil succeeds, everything we fought for will be lost." Shade, now fully committed to humanity's cause, joined Reyes in planning a daring counterstrike. "We must stop the weapon before it fires," Shade said grimly. "This is the last stand." The plan was audacious, a combined fleet assault on the Veil's hidden fortress deep within uncharted space. It required every ounce of human ingenuity and rebel courage. As fleets assembled, the galaxy held its breath. The battle that followed was unlike any before. The Council's remnants fought with desperation. Human and rebel forces pushed forward with unwavering resolve. Starships danced through deadly volleys of plasma and missile fire, AI synth minds coordinating maneuvers with flawless precision. In the heart of the fortress, Reyes led a strike team to disable the weapon's core. Explosions rocked the corridors as they fought past loyalist guards and advanced security drones. Finally, Reyes reached the control chamber. With seconds to spare, she initiated the shutdown sequence. Outside, the fortress began to collapse, engulfed in a cascade of explosions. The Veil's plans were undone. With their last weapon destroyed and leadership fractured, the Council surrendered. In Diri, the aftermath, a new Galactic Assembly was formed, one founded on cooperation, respect, and the shared vision humanity had championed. Ambassador Reyes addressed the assembly. This galaxy belongs to all who call it home. Together we will build a future where freedom is not a dream, but a reality. The galaxy's once quiet corners buzzed with hope. Former rebels and former council members alike worked side by side, forging bonds that had once seemed impossible. Shade, now honored as a hero, looked toward the stars. We have faced the darkness and emerged stronger. The future is ours to shape. And as new dawn light spilled over Earth's horizons, a promise echoed through every world. The silent rebellion had ended, and a new era had begun.